My husband is blind, but he wasn't always blind. Paul,
Yeah.
how did it happen? How did you end up blind? What did you do in some previous
What did I do?
life?
Oh, I'm sure I did something in a previous life. This is karma. No. I don't think that's actually a good way to look at it at all, because I really do, just to get off on a tangent for a brief second here, I don't look at the blindness as a curse of any kind.
Yeah.
This may sound strange, but I do see it as a gift in my life now. I just want to empower other people with disabilities and visual impairments, not to think about it as some kind of like curse. It is an obstacle, and everybody has obstacles. Like even able-bodied people like you, Matthew. To answer your question, I was born with it. It is a rare genetic eye disease called retinitis pigmentosa. So it was in me from the moment of my birth. But nobody knew that until I was 16 years old when I was diagnosed. So I went about my life blissfully unaware, thinking that I was clumsy and accident prone, not understanding why I could not see in low light settings like restaurants and movie theaters, because the first symptom of retinitis pigmentosa is often night blindness. But I, of course, never thought to question why I was struggling in those situations and others were not. So I got labeled as accident prone.
Now, so you said you were born with this.
Mm-hmm.
Who gave it to you?
Well, I did discover later that I had a form of the disease, which is called X-linked retinitis pigmentosa. All of our geneticists and people that are interested in human biology know that a male gets their X chromosome from their mother, so that was passed down from my mother. Plot twist, I did a whole bunch of genetic testing, including my mother being tested and my brother at the time. This is about 5-6 years ago now. And it turned out that she's not a carrier. So either my mom is not really my mom, but we have a lot of, photographic evidence to prove otherwise. But I actually was determined by the geneticists that we saw to be a very rare form of retinitis pigmentosa that they call de novo, which is that I am the first person to experience the genetic mutation. It was, in fact, not passed on to me. So that was probably really boring for anybody who is not interested in genetics.
Most people are not mutating their genes.
In the womb.
Okay, so XLRP.
XLRPGR.
Oh, XLRPGR.
And don't ask me what the GR stands for.
Okay.
I don't know. Although it is considered a rare disease, some of our viewers may have heard of it before. Famous people who have it include, here on YouTube, Molly Burke. She's a big YouTuber, and she also has retinitis pigmentosa.
Wynn, the owner of Wynn Hotels.
I was going to mention that. The guy big in Vegas, quite a wealthy man who has given a lot of money to the research as well.
You didn't have anybody else's vision to compare it to. You were labeled as clumsy.
Yeah, I associated with being accident prone and clumsy, terrible at sports. I mean, I'm not even going to make the obvious gay jokes. I was a little gay kid that was terrible at basketball and baseball. Go figure. I mean, I'm sure everybody watching me be terrible at the sports were just like, well, he's a little light in his loafers. I mean, and little did they know, I could have been a phenomenal athlete.
You might have
with
been.
full vision. We'll never know.
Olympic level.
We'll never know. So when I eventually got my learner's license up in Canada, I'm from Canada, and at 15 we get to start to learn to drive, right?
Okay.
Is that how it is here?
I don't know.
Because you didn't learn driving straight away, did you?
No.
Okay, so
I was delayed.
Not the one to ask. Maybe somebody in the comments can tell us when Americans start to learn to drive.
I think it's 16.
Yeah, but I think at 15 you can take the
Learners?
Somebody fill us in. So I got my learners. I aced my test. I studied like all week for that test. I was so excited to get my learners, in which I could drive with another person in the car. And almost immediately, my family realized like something was very wrong with my vision. I think you just had to put me inside, a speeding vehicle, a little death trap.
Behind the wheel.
To finally realize that Paul's not just clumsy, like visually something is wrong. I was merging directly into a car that I simply didn't see due to the blind spots that had started
Did you
to form.
hit anything?
I thankfully did not.
That is amazing.
This was in rural Canada. So
Okay.
a picture of a highway usually only has like 3 cars on it. Yeah, it wasn't a lot of cars. But I was driving my family to school, and we had this sort of near accident. It was raining at the time. And
How did you stay inside the lines?
I mean, it took all my effort. So like at this time was beginning to experience the second symptom of retinitis pigmentosa. And I shouldn't really suggest that everybody has the same sort of progression. But for me, it went from night blindness then to blind spots appearing in my peripheral vision. And so these blind spots started to form, and sort of create a tunnel effect.
They're spreading.
And they were spreading
Connecting.
and merging together. But at this time, I actually still had quite a bit of my vision, so it was just in the early stages. But even then, I would look down at the speedometer, look up at my rear view, look up at my side view, and look ahead. And anytime I was looking at those things, it was all I could see. So it was a lot of spinning plates
Wow.
at
Yeah.
once, which was pretty scary.
That would be like me driving with like blinders on.
Yeah, or I did make you those goggles, or you made the goggles
Yeah.
to sort of see how I see. And it was like, it would be like driving like this. Just hold your hands up to your head, and you're going to miss a lot of things. Obviously, very dangerous to do.
Yeah.
So we pulled over. I got out of the car. My aunt took over. And then within 2 weeks, I was seeing a specialist and getting a referral to another specialist. And it ended up being this 6-month-long process of referrals and taking all of these advanced tests. The Goldman visual field test is a very common one. And I took a lot of versions of that. And every time they had to dilate my pupils. And if anybody's had that done, that's super uncomfortable. And they numb your eyes. And then everything's like super bright and blurry all day long. And I had that done every single time. And one time I went to the Children's Hospital, and they even hooked up electrodes to my eyes. And of course, many years
Okay.
later, you saw this done to me as
Yeah,
well.
I've seen that. Yeah,
They did
that's
this,
wild.
Yeah. And so I've had it done twice now. And they actually put these contact lenses in your eyes that are hard plastic that force your eyelids open. So you
Yeah.
can't blink.
Yeah.
It's like a torture device.
It's like something out of the Matrix.
And then they put these things in your eye, and your eyes are like just held open like this. And you can feel yourself wanting to blink, and like the mechanism of blinking is happening, but your eyes aren't shutting. But they put these really like moist drops in your eyes to kind of keep them from drying out. And then you have to stare into this huge vortex, and they flash strobe lights at you for like 5 straight minutes.
Yeah. I've never done that.
So all of this to say, I was eventually diagnosed at 16.
What was it like? I mean, the doctor said, we finally know what this is. We have an answer.
Whew. Okay, I've been on a journey. How many minutes have we been talking? I feel like I'm reliving this whole journey, and it is sort of emotional, but it's also, I'm remembering the relief. Now, this may sound strange. Finding out that I had an untreatable, incurable eye disease was actually a relief to me, because I finally had an answer. All those years of being clumsy and feeling so out of place and accident prone and all of the embarrassing situations that I was in. And it had a name. And furthermore, it meant that I wasn't the only person going through it.
Yeah.
And that there were scientists and researchers developing potential treatment. So at that, are you comfortable?
Yeah.
At that time, I had, I think, around 50% of my vision remaining. It was like half and half. And when I met you, I was more like 85% vision loss.
Yeah.
And today, I have less than 10% of my vision. So it is a progressive disease, and there is no stopping it yet from progressing to total blindness in many people. And there's not even a way of measuring how quickly it'll happen. There are some people that can go years without any progression at all.
Yeah.
And then there are some people who have a dramatic degeneration in a very small and sudden burst of time. There's just no predicting.
It's always getting worse. It can get worse faster for a little. It can slow down. The degeneration can change its speed.
But I want to talk about something a little more hopeful, because I'm definitely the more rose-tinted Pollyanna of the two of us. So I did want to talk about sort of the genetic trials and the research going on now, and specifically the 3 that I've been a part of. Initially, I was, spoiler alert, rejected from all 3 of them. But I wanted to discuss what that process was like and why I was rejected and what this means for the future of people with my disease and many other people. If you would like to see the extended episode, go to patreon.com/hisandhis.
Or if you're on YouTube, it is probably right here, or you can watch some of our other videos here.
Wait, I did have one more driving experience with you.
In the
In the-
parking lot.
it was-
scary
Oh.
when you almost hit that pole.
It was not fun. It was completely scary.